your idea of philosophy is wrong. You see, most people think philosophy is bullshit, mental masturbation, useless, unapplicable. They'll describe it in whatever adjectives or terms they'd like to. They think it's merely about names. They think it's merely about people like Immanuel Kant and Socrates and Plato and David Hume and John Locke and maybe Thomas Jefferson if you're like American and all that, whatever. But those are philosophers, but they're not philosophy. And I think a lot of us get introduced to philosophy incorrectly, right? We first hear the term philosophy when we're in, ninth, 10th, maybe 11th grade, maybe even before that, right? And our first moments of learning philosophy are the trolley problem, right? The whole idea of like, oh, there's a trolley and it's gone loose, and it's gonna hit someone, and it's gonna kill 5 people, but if you pull a lever, or if you push a person over, whatever, there are variations of it, there are endless fucking variations of it, but if you do something, then the other person doesn't die, and you divert the track, and maybe you kill 5 people. Or, sorry, you kill 1 person instead of 5. Or you kill 10 dogs instead of 1 person. Or you kill an old person instead of a baby, right? Like, you hear all these variations of it. So that's one example. That's when we hear philosophy, right? In abstract thought experiments. Another place we hear philosophy is, well, the whole idea of like to philosophize, right? And a lot of people like use that ironically. They're like, I'm philosophizing, right? But like, what the fuck? So that's one instance. I think another instance in which we hear philosophy in modern age is like someone's philosophy, right? We hear like, what is Joe Biden's philosophy? What is Donald Trump's philosophy? What is CNN's philosophy? What is my philosophy, right? So we think of philosophy in terms of like people. We think of philosophy in terms of a set of beliefs or ideas, and that's... I struggle with this as well. Like, I refer to me as my philosophy, but in reality, it's my system of beliefs, but I wouldn't say it's my philosophy, right? Philosophy is it translated into English, right? Because it's actually a Greek word, I'm pretty sure. Philosophy. The love of wisdom. That's philosophy. The love of wisdom. But instead, in our modern vernacular, instead of addressing philosophy as the love of wisdom, it's the search for truth. Instead of that, we hear, oh, what is this political figure, certain philosophy or ideology? That's a better use of wording. Because it's not Donald Trump or Fox News or some guy on Twitter's philosophy. It's their ideology, honestly, right? How can everyone be searching for like a lot of people who have a quote unquote philosophy, like they're not searching for wisdom. And what is wisdom? Wisdom is, that's a good question. I think wisdom is truth, right? And that's also what is truth. Truth might be, I don't know, a certain rule about how the world works, an idea of how the world works that applies to multiple people, right? Maybe that's what truth is. Nonetheless, though, we hear your philosophy in terms of someone's philosophy, as if it's identified with a human. But I think also, in terms of going back to how we're introduced to philosophy as a society, it's like, we're introduced to philosophy in 9th grade, when we're like, oh, Socrates was a philosopher. And you're like, okay, like, what did he say? And then he's like, he didn't really say that much, he just asked questions. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Anything else? And then the 9th grade teacher's like, no, that's it. He just asks questions and makes people mad. Like, that's what philosophers do, apparently. So that doesn't help, because you're like, okay, what the fuck is the point of it, right? And what's interesting is a lot of people end up going into tangents of philosophy, right? They go into politics, great form of philosophy. I would say science is a form of philosophy. I would say religion and theology, that is the philosophy of I guess, theology. There's a reason why they're somewhat separated, but I would say religion is also sort of philosophy because you're searching for truth. Business, right? Especially an interesting thing, I've been getting into the world of venture capital and investing recently, and you realize business is sort of like you'll hear this all the time, business is a game. But it really is, right? Because business is taking people and their certain ways of looking at the world, their perspective of how the world works, and they apply that into the game of business that everyone else is playing, right? For example, if you're playing football, we'll say American football, there's a lot of different perspectives you could have. You could look at the perspective of, I'm just going to get the most talented players. Another perspective is, I'm going to get the most synergistic players, the players that not only get along on the field, but off the field, they trust each other and they hang out and they have fun, like they have synergy some sort. I'm going to get the fastest players, right? So there are these different perspectives on the same game of football, right? That itself is a different, I guess you could say, philosophy or strategy or tactic, whatever you want to say, belief system about how the game of football works. Business is similar. People come in with their different strategies or ideas of how business really is, and then they go through that and say, this is business, and they use their whatever. But what I really want to get down to is the fact that a lot of people think philosophy is stupid. Because they don't really know what it is, right? Because I just said, in so many instantiations, we're told what philosophy should be. It's manifested in so many different ways, but there's no concrete definition. And that sucks. And I'm not sure if it's really definable down to one term, but what I can say is this. Philosophy is not bullshit. Philosophy is not mental masturbation. Philosophy is not useless and unapplicable. Because, let me tell you the truth. I wake up. Today I woke up at 4:45 a.m. I was spraying out of bed. And I went to the gym, and it was like 5:30 by the time I got there, and I said, I went to the front desk worker, I was like, hey, how's it going, guys? And they looked at me like I was crazy. It's 5:30 a.m., it's cold as fucking Boston, it's like 30 degrees in the morning, it's dark as shit. They're looking like goddamn zombies, and they're like, wow, you have a lot of energy today. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that's just how it is. But then I realized, dude, I am genuinely happy with my life, and I'm a very high energy, optimistic person, and that's been conditioned over time, right? I don't just wake up one day and I'm suddenly a fucking happy human being, but the reason why I'm so happy, and I'll say this, the reason why I'm fucking happy is because of philosophy. It's truly because of philosophy, because what philosophy really is, it's the art of questioning. And philosophy isn't important because it makes you look smart. Philosophy is important because it reveals how little you know. And I want to really say that once more. Philosophy is important because it reveals how little you know. A lot of people in this world think they're smarter than they actually are. Me included, probably. But philosophy, the art of questioning, that reveals our hidden biases and distortions. All right, let's go into this. So my main idea is philosophy is the art. It's the art of asking questions, right? Because we're talking about philosophy is the love of wisdom. The love of wisdom is truth. How do we get to truth? The only way to get to truth is through questioning, right? So philosophy is that art of asking questions. It's like getting to the bottom of things. And what I really believe is philosophy is the art of understanding. In my opinion, the greatest philosopher that has ever walked this earth is you. You, me, and everyone else. Because we've all been children. And children are the greatest philosophers. Because children are very, very smart. And now it's not because they have some sort of concrete, crystallized intelligence about facts and meaningless statistics. Children are smart because they fucking ask questions. Most of us don't. Most of us are conditioned by society to not really ask questions and just to accept things. But children are really interesting because they ask why. Why? Why? Why are things the way they are? Why do things work like that? What is the causal relationship between X and Y? The child asks why over and over and over again, ad nauseum, until their parents are going crazy, because they want to get to the bottom of things. They want to get to the fundamental level, the very core of an idea. And then they ask once more, why? That, my friends, is where magic happens. In this last why, once you're at the very bottom of an idea, you start up here, now you're down here, and you ask why when you're at this fundamental level. Because in this final why, this is the last question that really challenges our notion of things. And this, in my opinion, is where humans can change. This is where humans realize something about themselves, right? And what I said in this in terms of the child, and they ask why, this is the same thing you could do to yourself, right? You journal, you contemplate, you think, and you say, why do I think like this? Why does it have to be this way? Are there examples that prove this, right? It's just the art of questioning over and over and over again, and truly examining rationally, thinking through things. Because to philosophize is to reveal. I said change happens in this very last questioning of the why. And the reason why change happens here is because this is where self-knowledge is attained. Because you start revealing your hidden biases. You start revealing your hidden preconceived notions and distortions about the world, right? Here's the funny thing. There is, this is my opinion, or my ideas, not specifically mine, that I came up with these, but this is a certain idea I like to talk about. There is no reality, right? For us to perceive something, for me to perceive reality, it must be filtered through my mind. My mind is conditioned by years and years of social conditioning and things I've seen and watched, and my own perception of the world, and how my experiences have shaped my understanding, and that understanding then shapes my perception, right? It's perception is influenced by our understanding, and our understanding of the world influences our perception, right? So it's like a circle. And as a result, our perception is always flawed. It's never truly realistic. It's never truly objective. And as a result, reality doesn't exist. Because for me to say something is real, it is real and only in my mind for me to perceive it, right? For me to perceive something, it must be filtered through my own subjective mind. That's a different concept. But to philosophize is really to understand your own unique perspective of the world, to understand your unique conception of how things work, to understand you. See, to philosophize is to reveal self-knowledge and to understand yourself. And this is where change is possible. Because once you reveal the hidden biases and sort of like the limiting beliefs of your own mind, you can overcome them, right? I used to have the limiting belief that no girl would ever like me, right? Because I was fat and ugly and stupid. Not true. Fuck yeah. But it's just not true, right? Like, bro, look at me. I look sick as fuck. But all the ego and narcissism aside, like, philosophy showed me, oh, I have this limiting belief at the fundamental core of me that I think I'm unworthy of love, and that's because maybe the way I was raised. In fact, it was because of the way I was raised, right? I learned conditional love at a very young age. And I only understood that and realized that, oh, the reason I think I'm incapable of things is because I think I'm not worthy of love until I get an A, or until I do something good, or whatever the fuck that means. The only reason I came to that conclusion was because I kept asking why over and over and over and over again. And it sucks, right? It's not like, it takes time. You can't just ask why all over again and, you know, in 5 minutes you've understood yourself. Like, no. It takes time. It takes reflection, contemplation. But this is so powerful, because to philosophize is to reveal. And this is when we could leave behind biased beliefs and step towards a better future. Towards a brighter future, a better society, and towards a happier life. Self-knowledge is essential to happiness. If you don't know yourself, you're like... Have you guys ever worn those drunk goggles? Like I don't know about you guys. I had to go to driving school in order to get my license. And they give you these drunk goggles, right? They're like glasses you put over yourself. And they're like, this is what it looks like when you're walking and you're drunk. It's not at all. I don't know from personal experience though. Wink wink. You put those on and it's so difficult to fucking walk because everything is distorted and weird and blah blah blah. That's what life is like when you don't know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you are just not even a human being. I wouldn't even say you're like a husk of a human being fumbling through the world, trying to find the light switches, but you're failing to realize that you're fucking wearing sunglasses. That is what it's like. If you don't know yourself, and if you don't have self-knowledge, you are a person, a husk of a person, fumbling through the world with sunglasses on, trying to find a light switch. All you need to do is take off the glasses. Philosophy is not about fancy words and abstract concepts and meaningless, nonsensical definitions. Philosophy is the deliberate choice to reveal yourself and take a step towards truth. I'm going to dive into in another video some of my favorite philosophies or ideas or concepts or just more stuff about philosophy. Maybe where to start. Yeah, I think that'd be a good video. Where to start with philosophy. But for that, I want to encourage you guys to come away from this video and say, you know what? I'm going to think a little bit more. I'm going to self-reflect a little bit more. Thank you for watching. Have a great video. Share with your friends and family. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Stay motherfucking curious.